The exhibition originally happened in 2017. It was semi-curated and produced by my friend Juan, who runs Staff Magazine, and also he produces and runs Moments Festival in Malaga, Spain, which is spread all throughout Spain. He's just like an incredible organizer, positive person. And so he brought me to Spain. Well, I had this idea, quick background of it. So I've had a love of Polaroid photography way back when I first discovered it in the early 90s. So at a point in the early 90s, you could go into a thrift store and get a Polaroid camera for like, $1 or something. And some people in the music scene discovered, hey, we can get these old Polaroid cameras and, go get film still. So I started doing that and taking pictures, and it evolved into I had this idea to take one Polaroid every single day wherever I was, and then just write the date on it. And that would be a way to practice and also just to, just document my life, I guess, in the style of like what Andy Warhol was doing. And this is pre-digital, so no one was really doing it that, some people did, but not that I knew about. And from that, the photos could be as boring as like a bunch of smashed pretzels on the street in DC to, being in Eastern Europe with the makeup while I was on tour. So I did that for about 2 years. And also I was working at a camera store, so I had a lot of access to film. And I ended up with like thousands of Polaroids, different formats. And other people, I met my partner at the time, she was somewhat into Polaroid too, and then we ended up doing a exhibition called Past Perfect, which was based on that work and kind of evolved from there. But from doing that, I just realized there was a lot of other people like me who had a love of photography. And the thing with the Polaroid, I'm calling it Polaroid, but we'll just say, as you said, it's like Kleenex or Band-Aid. There's other forms of, but at the time it was Polaroid. And the great thing about this and other projects I've done is it speaks to other people and then they can relate to it. Maybe they've done something similar. And then I noticed that a lot of people that I respect had done similar things. And that realizing that, I was like, well, I want to bring together an exhibition of all of this work, artists that I love and respect, you know, basing it from what I had done, but seeing what other people had done. So we did the group show with Juan. And it sat there, and it was a beautiful show. It was at a beautiful institution in Malaga, and it was really well done, and I was really proud of it. But I hadn't gotten a chance to bring it to the USA because Juan and I are trying to tour this show as well. So if anyone out there wants to bring the show to their town, it's on tour. It will be on tour, hopefully. So I had a great opportunity here in DC with the Friendship Heights Alliance. Friendship Heights is a neighborhood in DC. It's a great neighborhood, and it was affected, I think, a lot by the pandemic. So maybe things aren't as active and there's kind of a more available space, but now things are coming back. It's really a great location. It's on the border of Maryland, but there's literally a metro stop in the building where the show is that I'm having. So long story short, I had the opportunity to put the show on here. I brought it back here and I've added some more DC related artists. And with this show, it's always evolving. So there's always opportunity to add things. People come in, it's like, oh, I got these great shots. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, bring them down or, take more pictures. But that's the gist. And then as for content in the show, I said it's artists, friends, people that I've worked with through other avenues or just having mutual respect for. Maybe I didn't know them, but I just contacted them because I love their work and I knew they'd done Polaroids. So for example, Danny Clinch, as we know, does amazing work. And, he's the one that shot the iconic Polaroid of like Tupac, and other musicians. And so I got in touch with him. And so he's hit that Tupac shot and other pictures in the show. And then, there's Craig Stesick, who was the founder of, helped found Dogtown, is very vital in like the whole look of that whole early kind of skateboard scene out there, and Thomas Campbell, and then just different artists that had that kind of look. But then at the same point, I think it's really important. There's other photographers in the show that maybe aren't very well known, but they've got a lot to say and they've got some really great imagery. So you've got the hook, and then hopefully you discover something new. There's that. And then it's also a show I wanted to make it very accessible, so it wouldn't be like you have to understand skateboard culture, music culture. There's a lot of content that could speak to anyone who just likes good photos. And then as for a techie, nerdy photography thing, which I can talk about because we're photographers, there's so many different formats, and you can really see the evolution of instant photography in the show. So we're starting from Polaroid, going back to the pack film where you peeled it apart and all of that. And that's why, that's kind of where the title of the show came, because originally I'd done this thing called Past Perfect, but this is not past, this is the future. And so that's why it's been flipped to called Present Imperfection. So the key is to focus on those imperfections and not to worry about glossing everything over and making everything perfect. And I think a lot of people are realizing that. And it started a few years back when everyone, there was this whole thing with music. There's kind of for me, there's a music photography kind of comparison. So with musicians and people who record music, it's like, oh, analog, you need that crisp, warm sound. So for, film photography or Polaroid or instant photography, it's that's like that grain, or that, as it's called, noise, or whatever you want to call that terminology, that it fights against the absolute perfect exposed photo. And I do believe that's catching on, and you could see it catching on in younger generations because they're actually purchasing little digital cameras away from their phones. They're looking for digital cameras from, say, 2009 that are only like 2 megapixels, but they've got this kind of not perfect feeling, and that's the idea behind the present imperfection. And that, to me, relates more to us as humans, because we're always evolving. We don't evolve into some, like, as we grow older, we're not like glossing over, we're showing signs of wear and tear and age. And that's the whole idea, the concept behind this show. So, for example, when I used to do the Polaroid a day while I was on tour with musicians, I would do a little ongoing gallery, be in this shitty van. I'd take a Polaroid and they'd tape it up on the wall behind, so we'd have a little mini gallery of the Polaroids, like duct taped or whatever, just stuck up, and then we'd drive around the country, and then I'd get back and I'd still have those, and there would be that residue from the tour on the photo. And that's the imperfection, but that's the, the historical element that brings it all together. So yes, and it's kind of the opposite of digital.